comes crashing in and reminds me of the past. And sometimes I hear your name. Sometimes I hear your name. It reminds me of the pain. Well, I guess you read me right, 'cause I am a foolish man. But at least I understand. But at least I understand. And I've learned to live with it. Memories like grains of sand, lying helpless on the beach. But the ones you need so bad, the ones you need so bad, are the ones you cannot reach. grains of sand.
Good evening, folks. Hope everybody's doing good. That's all right, Drip. I don't expect everybody to catch everything. I'm not that vain. I do want to address something that I've seen going on today, and it disturbs me just a little bit. Literally watching through YouTube and seeing news channels doing updates on the Nashville thing. I watched a piece from NBC News, which, I don't expect any great insights or anything, but I wished I would have saved it because I'm not quite sure what they said in there that they weren't supposed to because it was removed, not shortly after. I have to wonder, is that what we've moved to now? That even news stations who we know tend to show a little bias or not necessarily be totally straightforward with things, that now, even in the case that that stuff is going to be removed if they believe that there's something in there that shouldn't be. Personally, I didn't see anything that I thought was out of bounds, but obviously somebody must have. And I guess that's kind of a thing that I would like to address a little bit is even with the stuff's put out, how do we know that what we've seen or what we thought we've seen is going to still be there? I mean, I know what I saw. I know what I heard. No, it come up showing that it wasn't there. It just went to YouTube's page, Brian. So it didn't say removed by user. So I can only assume it was removed by someone else. That's usually what you see. I don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure. I just know it didn't come up saying removed by user. It just come up, this video is not available. And I went to the YouTube, the little thing where, go to homepage. But even in those cases there, it's the things that we see. And this is a news station, mind you. It's NBC, for Christ's sakes. For the life of me, I sat and thought about it, and I couldn't think. It was about Nashville, Gerald. I didn't see anything in there that I thought was out of bounds. I mean, it wasn't like it was derogatory or anything. I didn't see anything in there that I thought was inappropriate. But obviously somebody did. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what detail was in there that was which warranted being removed. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions when it comes to those types of things, and we know that, shall we say, certain agencies dictate things at times too. So if the news station themselves didn't take it down, which I have no indication that they did, what prompted it being removed? Yeah, I have my Well, I'll just put it this way. I have a very good insight into that as well, Gerald. Um, I mean, I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but Katie Hobbs' press secretary resigned because she posted on Twitter basically a call to violence against Christians, people of faith. I mean, that's just nuts that you now have politicians, and she isn't the only one, and celebrities celebrating this as if it is justification. That could be possible, Jared. I don't recall that, but it's possible. I don't see why. Well, yeah, actually, I do. If we want to go there, yep. The thing is, though, is it appropriate? Is this how we want to live in society where outside forces, unelected bureaucrats, or tech companies dictate the access that we have to information to understand fully, just so they can follow a narrative? No, I don't think that's right. Yeah, I don't know, Gerald. I have no idea. And I have no evidence of that, and I'm not going to make any claims about that either way. Unless I have definitive evidence of that, I am not going to engage in that. There's certainly enough with this that definitely warrants questioning, because that's blatant. So I guess that's something that I would like to address first, and then we can move on from there. But I have family that lives in Nashville, very close family that lives in Nashville. I sat that day and had to wonder whether my grandchildren were at that school, because I wasn't sure which preschool they went to. That's a hell of a thing for a grandfather to wonder. And then to have politicians and celebrities come out and celebrate it is something else. Yeah, I don't know, Gerald. And then, that may be true, but then how do we verify it? How do you, I don't know if you remember me talking about muddying the waters, but they're doing a good job of that. I'd hate to say that somebody could post it up and come across and say it is, only to find out later that it's not. That's a problem with a lot of things. Yeah, you're correct, Rick. History is being deleted or re-narrated, or many number of things. There's all kinds of things going on that's happening. I'm going to find a book to read to you, just Miss T. That's funny. I hope you have a good nap. You could always just put the beginning of this on loop. That would probably do it. So, but anyways, in a lot of our countries, a lot of things that we're seeing, but this seems to be, front and center and one of the most atrocious things that I've seen. To where it's beyond censorship. It's crazy. And on that note, I'll post a link to the panel, but I will say I want to keep it to the topic at hand. For the time being, at least. And even if people disagree, let's keep it civil. This is a very, very touchy subject and hits to the hearts of a lot of people on many different places. So, hello, Wanda. And by the way, thanks everybody for showing up. I'm glad you guys find that being here is worthwhile, even though sometimes I do find myself a little long-winded and boring. So anyways, link's going to be in the chat. I will pin it now. And as I said, I want to, at least for now, have addressed what I was talking about. I do think that maybe there may have been something about what you were saying, Gerald, possibly, but I don't recall it. No, not now, Fry. Although when you have that on your channel, I will certainly show up. And something else that I was informed of by Brian today. Thank you very much for sending me that. The Congress here, the Democratic side, managed to shoot down a bill to block the so-called turning over of medical rights to the WHO. Personally, I don't care what side of the political spectrum you fall upon, but if you're in the United States, that should disturb you big time. To think that you're going to have a outside organization outside of the country of unelected people, unelected people, but put in by others that are going to seem to think that they're going to dictate what's going to happen inside our own countries. And it isn't just the United States, I believe. Canada, Mexico, Australia, Germany, most of the European Union, and many other countries are signing on to this. With all things considered, I think is absolutely insane as well. But what do you do? And to think that the most important thing to the President of the United States when it comes to dealing with Nashville was the flavor of his ice cream and what was waiting for him. It's surprising, Rudy. It is very surprising. And as I said, it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum they're over on his channel the other night. that at the end it summed it up quite well. I found it humorous, but it's definitely a good representation of reality. When Tencent, one of the biggest corporations now, were at the height of their thing, their own government turned on them. The own government they were helping. That's why I try to tell people what you may wish upon others, as far as censorship or limiting or whatever, is going to turn around and bite you just as well, because those in charge consider everything else no more than a useful tool to their ends. And I don't understand how people can't wrap their minds around that. It doesn't matter what you choose. I shouldn't say what you choose. It doesn't matter what your belief system is or what you see or know or think you know. The fact that a lot of people seem to think that they're going to be a special snowflake that's going to be spared the wrath of the very thing they wish upon somebody else, until they're not. And history is full of it, since the advent of the written word for man. No matter where you're from, the history from many countries themselves. Yeah, that's very true. They're not after him; they're after us, and that's becoming readily more apparent. How you doing, Tracy? Good to see you. The little cliches that we've been fed: see something, say something, or why should I worry? Because I have nothing to hide. If you don't have anything to hide, why would you be worried? Well, ask some people here on YouTube when videos they had posted up to 10 years ago, they got swatted for just because of a policy guidelines change. Retroactive, mind you. So you're supposed to be able to read minds of people in the future. That's a good one. And that's what we're left to now. And that's what I see happening down there. Although I do see a certain sect of society trying to facilitate hate, not disagreement, but outright hate. When Katie Hobbs' press secretary has to resign over it, and as I said, she's not the only one, so she shouldn't feel special. That's a scary thought. Now, just to think if that was majority, where a statement like that doesn't warrant somebody resigning. I got to imagine that was an old crap moment for him. I can't believe you said that. But they did. Just think if that becomes majority. Of all the things going on and all the things people want to think, that aspect of it there in itself should be the biggest thing that we all are paying attention to. Whether it's coming from the other side or our own side or who we believe with, who we agree with, who we don't agree with. That's just insanity. I sit here and look at chat and I think about how many different countries and states and ideas I have just here right now. And we're all not going to agree upon everything, for sure. There's many things I disagree with people on here, but it doesn't mean I hate them, nor would I wish it upon them. It's just nuts to take a tragedy and use it to sow that kind of shit. Excuse my French. Well, I must have scared everybody. Everybody's afraid to come up. So my only thoughts is think, people. And we have to remember what we think we may know, we can't assume somebody else does. Or what we think we believe, we can't assume somebody else does. We can't let that foment hate to the point that happened in Nashville. And I'm sorry, that's exactly what that was down there. I've seen some panels, I've seen some newscasts, I've seen discussions that there's some things being said that I, in my life, cannot believe what I've seen. It's all right, it's cool, Fry. No big deal, guy. I'm good at blabbering on my own, no problem. So I guess, as I've said to everybody else, we need to be vigilant to that kind of stuff. And we also need to be vigilant of ourselves. Because we can't allow society to turn into that. And that's what's happening. And it's sad. It's disturbing and it's disgusting. Just as a guy I kicked off stream earlier, for anybody that was here for the first stream, he thought he was going to delve into classism and racism. He made it all of about 10 seconds after his remarks. Well, no doubt, Anna. But we also have to be willing to understand that we may not be correct, too. I've been proven wrong. And I'll be the first one readily to admit that Diego saw it. If you can show me where I'm wrong, I'm all for it. By the way, how you doing, Diego?
Hey, 2 in the same day?
You want to say that in a language that I can understand?
2 streams the same day?
I'm not sure what you're playing at, guys, so you got to let me in on. Earth to
I guess
Diego.
he must have felt the need for another one after that first one.
Oh, really? Pardon? By the way, get Rudy in there. So what's your thoughts about what I said, Diego? Am I wrong?
I didn't hear it. I just got on. I missed the entire conversation. Can you give me a TLDR?
Well, in your case, I think I can make an exception. I had a news cast today on YouTube that I watched that not because I was going to go back and reference it, and not 5 minutes later when I went back to it, it had been removed. And I didn't. It didn't say removed by user. It said this video is no longer available. So usually, if the user or whoever controls the channel, in this case NBC, it usually says the user removed this video, but it didn't say that. It said this video is no longer available and redirected you back to the homepage, which is usually what happens when YouTube removes a video. And then I was speaking of Katie Hobbs' press secretary resigning over the comments she made on Twitter about Nashville. It was quite disgusting. So, which I'm sure has probably been scrubbed, but I'm sure somebody's got a screenshot of that or something somewhere. We'll see all about it. So that's the gist of it. Thoughts? Guess not. I know.
Hello, Diego, and everybody in chat.
Hey, Paula.
Outlaw, I can't tie my shoe with you standing on my foot.
You know, Diego, just think if this becomes the norm, and like with Katie Hobbs' press secretary resigning, if that becomes majority and then they don't resign, because she did nothing but foment hate against people because of religion, because they don't agree with it.
Unfortunately, I think we're already there.
I'm almost to the point to agree with you on that. You know, it just seems to me that every time we turn around, there's always something that somebody wants to promote to hate on somebody else, as we found out this afternoon by the chucklehead that come on panel. You know, it's always race or something. Oh, okay. Well, here, let's find out.
How we going, guys? Good. I was listening in the background while I was doing a few other things, which I finished doing, and
well, I hope you feel better.
Very interesting thing you brought up just before. I think those sorts of things are going to continue to happen more and more in terms of censorship, and it's all just another ploy, you know, like it's the same with the hatred stuff that's going on. If you keep parties, certain individuals hating on each other, then it keeps them busy, so that other individuals can do what they want with the world, so to speak. That's the way that I see it. I've seen it play out in my own history over here in New Zealand, from reading back in New Zealand's history. That's exactly the same types of tactics that was used for many centuries in many different parts of the world. If you can keep the savages fighting, then they're easily able to be manipulated. If you can keep the separatists distracted, same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Casey posted me a link. I haven't previewed yet, but I know what it is. Let me give me 1 second here. And let me know if you guys can't hear this.
Press Secretary Jocelyn Berry has resigned after she tweeted this just hours after the Nashville massacre. We covered it earlier. An armed woman alongside the caption, "Us when we see transphobes." Berry resigned after growing pressure from those within her circle and other lawmakers who called the tweet disturbing and highly inappropriate. But of course, as we covered, not the liberal media. So that's news. More outnumbered in just a moment.
For those that couldn't see the picture, it was a picture of someone holding a firearm. So I guess now their idea of settling differences has become militant. The very same things they accuse those they oppose of, but yet they themselves are the ones fomenting it. You know, you know, to use the cliche from the news, a mostly peaceful protest while someone's burning down cities.
Well, there you go.
You know, is that the thing that we've delved to in society? I mean, even today with the chucklehead we had on there, Diego himself, who held himself really well. He didn't jump into the guy's rear end, but he certainly called him out, and allowed his own idiocy to do him in. What we're going to have to watch is that we're not baited into that game.
Exactly.
Because that's exactly what this press secretary for Katie Hobbs is trying to do. And you're correct, Anna. Society has gone crazy. A good part of it.
Scary thought of society has always been crazy. It's just more, it's more apparent now because everybody's seeing it from everywhere in the world.
Yeah, for sure. It's insane that people don't recognize it. You know, even people I disagree with don't recognize it themselves. You know, this woman being a political press secretary, you would think that she would be a little more self-aware, shall we say? So in that case, she meant what she said, because she's certainly aware of the repercussions of that.
Problem with self-awareness, Robert, is you actually need awareness in the first damn place.
Well, absolutely, Dan. But, you know, in the same token, if you're going to be in that position, you got to think that isn't the first merry-go-round. At least I wouldn't think so.
And that's what makes me think, is it part of the script, you know? It seems like there's too much going on for some things to not be at least partially organized, or way more organized than we all think.
Well, and that's why I said before, I use that reference to that documentary that Arnie posted about Tencent. You know, they're kind of in the same position, towing the narrative line and doing the bidding of their government, or doing the bidding of somebody. And it turned around and got turned on them themselves. and then they want to cry foul. They wish upon others, but don't do it to me.
One rule for thee.
Yeah, rules for thee, but not for me. I'm the special snowflake.
Uh-huh.
Words. It isn't just protests. This, in my opinion, is the line too far crossed. We can't allow our society to fall into that. And I know that I understand that the people I'm talking to probably agree with me on that. But it's going to be very hard, I can see into the future, not to fall into it, because it's not going to serve any of us.
Dan, on the first stream that Robert had today, I made a point, and I think you may be one of the few people that actually understands this, and that's unfortunate, but okay. I said that, I mean, we're all used to mainstream propagating lies and fake news. We're all used to that now. But we've come to the point where the people we call our friends are doing the same thing. And I don't think they even know they're doing it. And that to me is the saddest thing ever.
I totally agree, Diego, and here's the scary thought. Some of these so-called friends know that they're doing it.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Exactly.
Rationale is
and then I get called out for calling them bullshit. Oh, fuck off.
Join the club. Isn't it a lovely club to be in?
It's humorous, but it's not. But I can see that happening a lot more, Diego.
It's happening. It's happening, and Dan knows what I'm talking about.
Well, I see it in my own family. A person whom I never thought in my life could be deceived by something. A man who's my elder, a person I looked up to. Same thing. Is it a matter of just fear, or kind of like, the whole monster in the closet thing? If you pull the covers over your head, it doesn't exist.
Oh shit, you mean that doesn't work?
Sorry, Dan. Just like the Tooth Fairy guy. It doesn't work.
And yeah, Dan, you're right. It's a very small club.
But that's what.
Yeah, I feel very blessed to have met some wonderful people in this space. But I can be totally honest and say that this space has made my skin like concrete, because it has to be. Otherwise, you just fall for the bullshit.
Yep, for sure, Dan. It is certainly it's made me rethink a lot of things. Absolutely. I think the past few years have had a lot more effect on people than what they themselves realize. And what's happening right now is having a large effect on people, whether they would like to admit it or not. All of us. I guess that's what I'm saying when it comes to we can't be sucked in. Because it's going to more and more divide people in lines that shouldn't be. And the only way that we're going to turn this around is to understand that we do have commonality in a lot of places. We don't all agree on everything. We never will. That's human nature. But there are. Go ahead, Dan.
Exactly. Like I actually enjoy talking to people who do not think the same as me, but these days you just get attacked. So there's no chance to actually have a conversation and grow and learn from either side, even if there is a side, because as far as I see, there's only people with different ideas. We're all people.
Yeah, there
and
is.
All that stuff is just being lumped into groups and creating division and hatred, which is not beneficial to any of us on this ball in which we're spinning in space on.
Well, and that's why I said I wanted to point out, like this afternoon with that chucklehead to come on and Diego came down, but in a form, because usually Diego would be, right up their rear end, and Diego handled it very well. He gave the guy an opportunity to show how much of an idiot he really was.
Yep.
And I know
Give them-
Diego, boy,
give
he
them
was
enough
chomping at
rope
bit,
and
I
they-
guarantee you that.
Give them enough rope and they tend to hang themselves and hog tie themselves at the same time.
Well, and that's the same thing with what I'm addressing now. When you look at these politicians and these news stations, for a press secretary to say something like that, or certain, shall we say, celebrities. There's one I'd like to mention, but I won't because I'm not going to promote them. Actually, there's a couple I'd like to mention, but I won't. That are condoning that kind of stuff. There's so many aspects we have nowadays that infighting has become the norm. We can find the littlest things, and that'll be the problem, instead of finding the commonality. And yeah, it is grade school shit, Paul. You're absolutely correct. It is grade school shit. But the only problem is there's real world repercussions.
Exactly.
It's the pettiness of some people just astounds me at times. And then there's also people, like I said, that rather put their head in the sand and pretend that it doesn't exist. Or to say, well, what's the difference? It's going to be done anyway. Well, that's defeatist.
I was just about to say that. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm never going to have a defeatist mindset. Being born with a disability that I was born with, if I had that mindset, I wouldn't have got out of a wheelchair. Screw that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the inherent thing when it comes to even the very principles upon what I believe, not just the United States, but people in general, by virtue of being born, have the rights to be a human being, just like the next person. Unfortunately, that's not codified in law across the planet, nor is it believed that way. There are many who still believe that imposing their will upon others is the way to go. And
it's no longer human being anymore, it's human controlling.
Well, they don't see other peoples as human beings anymore, Dan.
Exactly. They're the only humans, so they control everything else.
Yep. And by the way, No Brave, I actually agree with you on that one, for sure. But we can't allow that to dictate us and stop us. You know, I try here to have discussions even with people who don't agree. But that doesn't mean we can't have productive conversations. That doesn't mean that we're always right or somebody else is always wrong.
We need to learn to take the right and wrong aspects out of ourselves, and the only way that can be achieved, in my opinion, is dropping the damn ego.
Well, absolutely. But, and as I said earlier, there's assumed subjective and objective truth.
Mm-hmm.
We can't assume that everybody has the same circle of knowledge that we have.
Exactly.
And we can't assume that we're right. I mean, I will tell you, I'm the very, very critical of myself in what I believe.
I'd rather do the total opposite and always test myself and think, oh, could I be wrong at this? And then see. Test
Well,
it.
I try to. I mean, that's as I said, the very first thing that as I tell anybody, look in the mirror first if you want to find out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first place you got to look.
I try to do that. I fail a lot, but I try.
Well, none of us are perfect. Well, not. But it's exactly that, and that's what I'm seeing going on right now. People who are so enthralled and embroiled in their ideology that could literally in their mind think that what happened in Nashville is justified. And as I said, I went to a live news broadcast and watched the comments, and I was absolutely shocked, disgusted, and astounded that, you know, it's not me, mind you, but I'm still part of the human race and species on this planet. And to think that's how others view people just blows my mind, you know. And then to think about, you know, all the things that I've been accused of and told and all these things. I mean, everything from I'm an intolerant asshole to I should be dead. Yeah, you're correct, Rudy, and that's what I try to foment on this panel. That's why I try to be very fair with people, but I also make it very apparent that I don't tolerate personal attacks at all, nor do I tolerate racism or any attacks on anybody else. You know, people can disagree. That's fine. I have no problems with that. But do it in a productive way. It just disturbs me that it takes what happened down there to get people to finally, maybe, at least around here, to open their eyes a little bit. And you're correct, No Brave. If people are willing to, you know, we have the straw man and the shoot the messenger and many different kind of things. You know, as little as yesterday, I already had somebody, when I tried to point them in a direction, try to shoot the messenger. You know, even myself, I don't care who's saying it. Some of the hardest truths come from the most places that you wouldn't suspect they'd come from. and we have to be willing to accept that. To me, we need to regain our humanity. We have to, in this country, and not just, I shouldn't say that sounds a little bit elitist of me to say that. It needs to happen worldwide. We have to regain our understanding that our opinions and our beliefs and our rights end where somebody else's begins. I sit here and I think about waiting for the text back from my daughter that day to find out whether or not my grandchildren were in that preschool. And then to think I've got politicians and movie stars and music stars and all that shit condoning that crap and condoning those ideas. And you have to excuse me if I seem a little too hard at the moment on this. But that is very disturbing to think that that's the society we've been brought to.
Well, for starters, it's not hard at all. And I really have to bite my tongue if I want to speak about this, because I think you would want to use different words, and I think I would too. It's disgusting.
Yes, it is, Diego. It makes one want to blow their gasket, and it wouldn't be unwarranted. To think that many of the people who come to this channel to listen to these talks aren't people I would worry about in society. I can't think of anybody that I've seen here who I think could bring themselves to commit such an atrocity.
No, I would agree.
But yet, in many aspects, we're accused of being the wrong thing. Which just blows my mind because, as I said, I'm of the mind that everybody has rights, but you have to realize they stop where other people's begin. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong. Where's the flaw in that ideology? Where's the flaw in that belief? What is so toxic to others that they would push themselves to the point to where they're going to take little children's lives? And I can tell you, speaking as a combat veteran, it takes a special kind of crazy to do that shit. And I got to watch it because I'm going to lose my cool.
Reminds me of a phrase I heard in a movie once. It's an upside down world. When we, who were once upon a time considered to be good individuals, are now looked at as not so good. And then you got all this other craziness going on that just seems to be continuing more and more and more. Upside down world.
Yep. Blue is green, up is down, good is evil, and evil is good.
Bees are fish.
You're going to have to translate that one for me, Diego.
Okay, that came up on one of my panels. It was Weathercat who reported on this. And apparently California, now this is almost a year ago,
I
decided
remember.
to
Yep, go ahead. I
classify
remember.
bees as fish.
Yeah, bees are fish.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Bees
that you
are
bring it
fish,
up.
which are invertebrates. I remember that now. One of the most insane things that I've ever heard bashed against science. Bees are fish, which are invertebrates. You know, that's another thing where politics dictating science. Nor should science be dictating laws.
No. Science should be just doing the job of discovery for the point of fact, period.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, good luck with that. The same way that there's supposed to be a separation between church and state. Anybody remember that one?
Well, yeah, for sure, Diego.
What? Really?
There's supposed to be a separation between the houses here in the United States with the government, the three chambers, and then the fourth being the media. Well, that's been tossed right the hell out the window.
Same things occurred here.
Yeah, and it's ubiquitous across the Western world at the moment. That's why I said what's going on isn't for any one particular group, which just blows my mind that people are falling into that fallacy. It's literally to destroy the way of the Western world. And I don't mean that as a conspiracy. It's pretty obvious.
I've been preaching that for a year now.
Me too, Diego. Me too.
Me too.
Thursday will be interesting.
What's Thursday?
My life.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm not privy to that, so you don't have to divulge anything, Diego.
No, it's not that. I've already talked about it. I'm gonna talk about a personal decision I have to make. I'm thinking of dropping live streams altogether because I think they've become completely well, I guess useless would be the term.
Maybe, yeah. You may be correct.
What made you draw that conclusion? Dare I ask, Diego?
Well, for starters, it's always the same people listening. And really, I mean, I love these people, but do I really want to talk to an echo chamber? Did I really start the channel to not reach anybody?
Good point.
That's kind of where I'm going.
Yeah. I have to agree with you on that aspect, Diego. I've been racking my brain to it as well as to how do you foment discussion, productive discussion? How do you reach people when it comes to the point that hatred drives you to kill children? and then to have representatives of politicians condone it, or so-called stars or the Special People Society being movie stars or musicians or whatever, which just blows my mind that people would listen to a damn thing they have to say just by the virtue that they're popular in society for reasons outside of society itself. How do you reach that, Diego? How do you get productive dialogue when media every day, as I said today, a news piece that I listened to not 5 minutes later is removed for any reasons I can't think of.
Yeah, well, you really don't. And like I said, my it's not a fear anymore. It's become reality. And we can see this on other panels now. When people are so conditioned to lie, I'm sorry, I'm going to call it what it is. In an environment that's supposed to be safe, I don't know. I don't know what to say. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to have Thursday's discussion.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, I do this in the hopes that maybe it does reach a few people, maybe outside of our channels at some point.
You mean like
Exactly.
the moron from this afternoon?
Oh boy, yeah. Now there's a real piece of work. Whether the guy was.
I feel like I missed out on something now. I wish I
Oh,
wasn't
it's still
asleep.
up. You can go watch it. It's quite interesting. It's worthy of its own little video, that's for sure.
Okay. Definitely will.
Yeah, and you had me ripping him apart nicely, and
Yes,
I dare say I had to hold my tongue.
Yeah, I commend you for that too. You handled that very well. You fed him enough rope so he could prove that he's an idiot that he is.
Very well done, Diego. Very well done.
It's a hard thing to do. It's taken me a while to.
It's excruciating.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Why did I have to take a drink of coffee right then? But I really think, though, Diego, that for us to reach anybody who is going to not agree, they have to see that themselves. And that's not going to change a lot of minds. I know that. I'm not naive.
But you don't have to change a lot of minds.
Well,
just one. Just one. Just two.
I agree with you on the sentiment of that, Dan, but we are like the proverbial train wreck heading for the wall.
Mm-hmm.
When that wall comes, nobody knows, but it's coming. Yeah, Casey says, Diego, I figured you'd let the troll have it. Oh my goodness. It we got to not only check ourselves, but we got to figure out how to check those in power. just like this, as I said, that press secretary. Granted, yeah, she resigned, but she should be, in my opinion, ostracized. I don't care what your beliefs are, but to justify what happened, let's just say, try to justify something that has no justification. That's how we ended up with genocide in many different countries and for many different reasons. Maybe that's human nature. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the idea of peaceful discourse is wrong. I don't know. I know what the other side looks like. And those people that wish it don't understand how ugly it can really get.
No, they have no idea. That's why I've always said, if you want to know what peace looks like, really looks like, ask a soldier.
It's the simplest of things that you would think would be the most innocuous things can be the trigger that turns everything upside down. And I'm afraid if this continues to happen, it's going to. I mean, none of us wants what that could bring about. And there's going to be a point where good people are going to snap.
Sad thing is, good people are
Robert,
snapping now.
I hate to say this. We've had this discussion many times before. I think it's inevitable at this point. I really do. Sad.
I can't say that I disagree with you. I hope not. You know me well enough to know that I am no stranger to that. But I'll still hold
I just don't
hold
see
on.
a different outcome at this point.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, but I'm one of those people that tends not to give up.
Well, there's not a thing wrong with it. That's why we have these discussions. I'm on the fence on that one right now. I hope that saner minds prevail, but given the current situation, it isn't, shall we say, fertile for fomenting rational thought. It's
therein lies the problem. What do you call rational these days?
yeah. Let's redefine some more words.
Exactly. The English language was already screwed up before redefining things. Now there's a hell of a lot of redefinitions of most words, statements, and phrases.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Dan, because we had that discussion earlier.
Right. I must have been paying attention while I was asleep.
Strangely enough, I've actually had that happen, Dan.
Yeah, me too.
think that might be part of the reason why I have problems sleeping anymore nowadays. My mind doesn't shut off. Always trying to look for an answer.
Yeah, mine is the same way.
Is there one?
Well, that's
Is
the
there
reason
really?
why we're always hunting in our minds for a solution. There are some people that are solution driven, and then there are some people that are just driven to cause problems. For whatever agenda.
I'll never understand what drives people to the extremes that we're seeing. I'll never understand what drives people to try and justify the unjustifiable. Maybe as a species we have to go through this. Maybe. Maybe because the convenience of today's technologies, those who would not have been around are allowed to flourish. I don't know. There's many, many different things that can be said about that, but there's no answer that you can point to. You can't point to one thing. You know, in the past year or so that I've been doing this, I've met people from across the planet, in many different countries, many different places, many different beliefs, political systems, religions. And the one thing that seems to be true is those who are still of, in my opinion, sane mind, all want the same thing. They just want to live their lives without being bothered and have a reasonably happy life, raise their family or not raise a family or whatever they choose. But it's like we're not even allowed to do that any longer. Yep, Brian, a lot of people think that about many people. And then there are those who don't want to, even when they're presented with something that may go against their narrative, they won't listen. Prime example, I was watching a thing put out by Dr. Campbell. Again, their parliament over there, speaking of things based upon, to quote somebody, the disease we had to have. And they were speaking to basically an empty chamber. Only those that had to be there were left there. None of those people's representatives, except for 3, were in those chambers listening to that speech.
Boom. Does it sound familiar, guys?
Yeah, does it sound familiar? Now, is that the matter if they want plausible deniability? Do they actually believe the bullshit? Do they think they're a special snowflake? As I said, I'll use, as I said again, Arn's video about 10 cent. Swim with sharks, you're going to get 8 sooner or later. Is it just sheer greed and stupidity and ignorance? You can't convince me that every politician's as dumb as a block of wood. You know, so what's the deal? What's going on?
Apparently,
Hey,
they're
Janice, good
supposed
to
to.
see you.
Apparently, they're supposed to have some form of education. I need to see it.
Well, I think they have education, Dan, but the only problem is The level of corruption that has wormed its way into all aspects of our society, and not that there hasn't always been some level. You'd be foolish not to think that.
Actually, it's quite funny you mentioned that. There was a particular individual here in New Zealand that has just been outed for certain corruptions. And we all just laughed because, we all say, oh, aren't they all like that?
Yeah,
And these are supposed to be people that are supposed to be leading and helping our nations, right? But they seem to be just helping themselves.
yeah, it's insane. The I don't have an answer. I would be very arrogant to say that I did. Absolutely, Brian. But what do you do? I mean, what do you do? We
I am going to
as
take
good
the
people.
opportunity to. I'm going to take the opportunity to say something to Diego here. If you choose, whatever you choose to do is up to you. If you choose to not do your lives, they will be missed because the conversations, no matter how big or small the group might be, are still great.
Well, for me, it
Eh,
seems like you're still able to reach a part of sanity.
Well, I haven't made a decision. I am on the fence. And thank you, Dan. I do appreciate your kind words.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, Diego. Where do you go nowadays in society? Where can you go and have a sane conversation about the important things? Where does that happen anymore? I mean, it used to happen at the local coffee shop, at the church,
The
at the
local
bowling alley,
bar,
at the bar.
cafes.
Yeah. People used to actually talk about things that mattered. Now it's, ooh, don't talk about that. You might offend somebody or their sensibilities.
You can't even have those conversations in your own damn home with a friend.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, and
right.
you can't
You're
you
correct.
can't have these conversations on other panels that are supposed to be your friends.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's why
correct.
I hold these.
Oh,
You know, that's it's 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 not a matter of needing less of this conversation. It's actually a matter of needing more. I mean, I myself, if I could be here all the time, I would. Um,
well, you could make that happen. All you need to do is build a team. You've done that before.
yeah, but I don't. I can't dedicate the time to it.
Yeah, I understand.
Um, I mean, there's so many aspects to it that having discussions about real things should not be a rarity. It shouldn't be a it shouldn't be considered a bad thing or well, hell, I don't even know how to put it because it's just such a foreign idea.
Yeah.
Um, and some people uh, are indifferent. Some people are scared. Some people are not of the mind that they think ignorance is bliss. They'll just live out their life and that's it. I forget
And there's
who
also
said.
some people that really just don't care.
Yeah, as the saying goes, they want to watch the whole world burn.
Mm.
Um,
Yep. And sit there holding your sausages to cook on the flames.
yeah,
as
yeah.
if they're not going to get burned in the process, right? Then they're the first ones to go, oh shit, we're all screwed.
That's what happens. I mean, but you know, and I'll reinforce what Dan said though, Diego, is without these outlets and with it's like everybody listening here. Um, that's an outlet for them as well, I'm assuming. And I'm assuming there. So I can't say that for sure because people do different things for different reasons.
Well, I can speak for myself and say that spaces like this in Diego's and a few other places help me to maintain my sanity in a very, very backward world. So, as little as let's say, in quotes, the echo chamber may be, it actually does help a lot of individuals. And maybe it might help one or two along the way that just happened to pass through.
Maybe. I mean, we all
Maybe.
didn't find we didn't find each other uh, in an echo chamber.
No.
I mean, my channel here is as little of time that I spend on doing these panels. My channel is still growing, albeit slowly, but that's not my goal, is to build a channel.
No.
My goal is for people to have a place to come and have a rational conversation that is based on as much truth as we can come to truth. And facts. As Brian says there, he says, I want to enter the lion's den. I have an army of facts. And he does.
Yep.
That's why I pointed out what the UK Parliament did, what my own Congress did by wanting to turn over the idea of an international unelected board, basically, that's going to dictate what every country does. We see how well that went.
That's already that's also occurred here in New Zealand as well. So when you said that, I just started laughing because that had already been signed off in the middle of the night, right? And there's still people around here walking around like everything's all normal. You talk about the laws that sneak their way in for one reason or another. People look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, well, have a look at the website. Have a look at the government website for yourself.
Yeah, I've said the same thing. Go look at their own documents. Go look at their own things, and then look at the stuff they redact. The only reason to withhold something is you're afraid people will find the truth, or it'll reveal a lie.
They look at me like I'm the fool.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening. Up is down, blue is green, and left is right now. And even if you present somebody with that stuff, they won't go look.
Huh.
It's like poison. I might find out that, hey, I could be wrong.
And Brian knows this. He can be stating facts to you blue in the face. And they'll be like, oh, that's a lie. I'm like, how could it be a lie when it's based on the information that said leadership's put out? They have no answer for that, of course. Except to kick me out of their house, maybe. At which I'm happy to leave anyway, laughing.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's really a laughing matter because it's affecting us all worldwide in society.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
crazy.
sad part.
Good to see everybody in chat. A lot of the same old faces. Some people I see in here I don't see in other places, which is good.
Well, like I said, Drip, you know, I pick up a few people here and there. Some agree, some don't agree. Some agree with one thing, some agree with another, some don't.
Exactly.
Which is fine.
That's
But it
how we
does us,
should be.
it does us no good to not have these discussions. And
I
to
don't know whether I trust that Rick though.
Yeah, he is Australian.
He might
He's
be
a
a special
Brisbane,
case.
you know, so yeah, it's a little questionable.
I've got a lot of family in Brisbane, so I've got to be careful.
Sorry for your luck. You can't control your genetics, Dan. Sorry, guy. And I mean that totally tongue in cheek, but
Yeah, exactly.
because Rick is like a brother to me, so.
Oh, Rick's awesome.
So I guess, you know, what do we do? I mean, and that's not a question, that's a statement. I don't expect anybody to have an answer.
But I honestly think that not enough people are asking those questions of themselves.
Well, that could be true. Absolutely could be true. Oh, Tracy, you're the exception for sure. I was only speaking of a very specific one. And Dan, we give him a pass. You know, he does live on the island, so.
Well, some people think that Australia and New Zealand are the same country, and we might as well be, because we think very similar.
You know, I mean, that's the insanity of the world we live in nowadays. That you look at, as I said, at how much of just this chat represents of this planet. And to think that we're all experiencing very similar things. You could have never convinced me of that. Yeah, who's Robert?
Super salty.
Oh my goodness! I'm gonna have to get a thing to put that on when in the beginning of my stuff.
You need a logo that says that.
Yeah, there you go. Start a whole brand. Who's Robert? That'll get everybody to question now, won't it? You know,
this is We the People. Hey, how you going?
Hey, how you doing, Carmen? I hope you're feeling better. Hey, Jay, baby. Good to see you. At the water park with the kids today. You know, to get back to what I was saying is the similarities between well, I shouldn't say this. We're all going through the same thing. We're all been shoved in the same boat, so to speak. And we literally, at this point in time, have representation of what, a third of the planet, give or take.
Yep, pretty much.
And granted, yeah, is it a small cross section? Sure. But it's also testament to how everything that's going on is not affecting just one country, one culture. It's affecting everybody.
Oh, isn't that a strange concept that we all get infected by the same thing because we all live on the same ball?
You mean pizza? Come on, Dan, get with the program, guy. You know, and that's what went on today outside of what we've all had to endure for the past 3 years. That in itself has been fomenting and boiling in the back burner for a long time. And it's being pushed, you know, the vulnerable mentally in society. And I'm not going to jump down any rabbit holes, but because I certainly could on that one.
I bet.
And I bet you I wouldn't be totally wrong, Dan.
No, that's the scary thought.
The idea that such things that are going on, you know, something that happens here affects people's ideas and thoughts and their politicians on the other side of the planet. Just goes to show how really tied together we are. And the fact that we're all here goes to show how tied together we really are.
Exactly. Like my ancestors always said, we are all connected.
It's not even a matter of like minds, Dan. It's
yeah. I'm just remembering, like my ancestors always said, we're all connected, whether we want to accept it or not. All
absolutely. Thank you, Aussie. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Good to see you,
Aussie,
MC.
Aussie. Okay, guys, thanks for the conversation. And yeah, I just thought I'd pop up and
Absolutely.
say a thing or two.
I appreciate it, Dan. I'm probably going to end this anyway because I've beat a dead horse. Well, I shouldn't say a dead horse, but it's on life support at the moment. You know, I just hope that these conversations make people think. And I hope it keeps people vigilant.
Well, I'll only speak for myself when I say I do appreciate these conversations. Very much so.
I appreciate you coming up and having them. You know, I think we need more of, not less of. You know, because ignoring a problem doesn't make it go away. As I said, the pulling the blankets over your head, pretending the closet monster isn't there, doesn't change that fact.
And you just grab the baseball bat and hit it.
I personally would be contemplating whether or not it'd be all right on a sandwich. But
me too.
That's just
on
me.
that note, guys, I'm going to go and have some food.
All right, guy. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Everybody in chat, I am going to shut this down. I hope some people got some insights out of it. I hope it did some people some good. I will be trying to have more into the future. Thank you too for being here, Cindy. It is everybody here. I must say, it makes me believe that it's worthwhile doing. Post his link, Casey. The thing is, we need to have more constructive conversation, not less. And as I said, in the future, I'm going to try and do more of these as my time and my health allows. There used to be a time when I'd have random panels at any time. You know, and even as random ones, just for people just to come and chat. You know, there's certainly a need for that ability to come and speak about things that we can't in other places. And I'm working on some things to alleviate that, hopefully. And I'm going to try to be live more often. So, anyways, everybody. Well, thank you, Aussie. I appreciate that. Yeah, I am at the moment super salty. I'm kind of out of steam today. I've already been on 1 4-hour panel. And you see, I can't even speak properly at the moment. And I think I got my point across today. I will be trying to do more directed panels, and I will still try to have, at points in times, open panels that are just open for people just to discuss whatever, you know, the news of the day, like sitting over coffee, you know. Because as I said, I think we need more, not less. I would too, Dice. I would too. There's certainly enough of them out there, but little steps, D, little steps. Rome wasn't built in a day. Thank you very much for being here. Stephanie, I appreciate that you found it insightful, interesting. And I'm going to be out of here in 3, 2, 1, and take care, everyone.